What's poppin', everybody? It's a Sable Final 4. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays if you don't celebrate that. Coming back from my little mini holiday with a brand new deck for the standard format. This deck, is kind of boring to be honest, but it's something that can be sort of effective. I know a lot of people would be interested in it. It's basically this Aegislash from Paradox Rift, and we also got the other one like the EX from the same set, I'm pretty sure, that you can also use as the late game attacker. But basically this is a type of deck that I guess it might be a good beginner deck. It's the kind of deck where if you don't want to think much and you want to be really chill and play and get some easy wins, maybe if you set it up, it's you use a deck like this basically. If you don't know what this guy does, he's a stage 2. Everything about him is underwhelming, as most of these stage 2s, well not most, all of the stage 2s in this day and age are just below the league of the rule box Pokemon. 150 HP, terrible. 2 for 120 is too weak. It ignores effects, which this is a nice effect to have. Bottom stats, nothing really good, and the retreat cost is big. The only reason this guy has a chance is the Mysterious Shield ability, which makes him immune to all damage from EX Pokemon and V Pokemon. Now, back in the day when they would print cards like these, they would make them immune to all effects and stuff too, but I guess they thought we gotta nerf even that. So he's gonna be immune to damage, but is not immune to effects of attacks and other things that the V Pokemon do, like inflict status on you, those sorts of effects. So this means that Roaring Moon can one-hit KO this card if it uses his attack Frenzied Gouging, do 200 to itself, and then this guy's dead. So that sucks, but besides that, and maybe a few other things, this guy should be immune to most of the rule box Pokemon, which is pretty much all of the meta right now, besides a few exceptions like Sableye. This is basically the anti-meta card, okay? So you run a deck like this, you ain't gotta think too much, you just get it out, and then depending on your opponent's list, they're gonna struggle to attack it. They'll have to use random stage 1 Pokemon or just random basic Pokemon to try and do damage if they don't have any outs. A lot of decks do carry outs for these sorts of Pokemon, but some don't, or they don't have enough. So hopefully we can get some lucky wins with this. And in addition to the regular Aegislash, we have Aegislash EX. This is a cooler card. I would like to maybe make a deck that favors this card more, but to be honest, it is going to be kind of tricky to work. It's a stage 2. It does 220 for 2 and then 30 to yourself. It's pretty much the exact same thing the stage 2 Magnezone EX does from the original Scarlet Violet. It's not too great. Self-damage, I guess it's like 190 for 2, but the really good thing about it is the Peerless Edge attack. Works with 1 energy and it's going to do 70 times the amount of prizes we've taken. So in the beginning of the game it does 0 damage, that's why it kind of sucks. But then if we take at least 2 or 3 prizes, then you can do some decent damage. If you take 4 or 5 prizes, this guy is insane. He can do like 280, I think, and then 350. Is my math correct? I think that sounds about right, yeah. You can do 280, 350, that's broken. When you're at 3, you do like 210. Okay, so you do a lot of damage with this attack if you've taken a bunch of prizes. That's the point. So it's going to be a good little late game Pokemon. It might take our opponent by surprise. If this guy puts in some work, we get some KOs. They're struggling to deal with this guy, and then maybe they're thinking, okay, it's just these small Aegislash. Don't power up my big guy since I can attack, and then this guy comes out, and then they're gonna struggle. It's gonna be KOing them. Now, the line is pretty typical. Max out the Honedge, the basic Pokemon. This one does 20 for 1. This one does 30 for 1. And you do 10 damage to yourself. This guy is better because that 30 damage is more important. Maybe if Roaring Moon attacks, does 200, and then we don't have anything else to attack. If we can use this, do 30 and kill it, it might work if they don't have the capsule on. So that's why this guy's better. Just as much damage as you can do with these weak-ass Pokemon. That's what you want. But I only have 2, so I put 2 of the other one here. It's not really going to make much difference. They have the same HP, one retreat. But if you have more of the Reckless Charge one, use this one instead. Then I got the one Dew Blade. Why they put him on top here and then the other ones are over there? Anyway, I don't get it, but Dew Blade, this is the stage 1. It's also pretty pathetic, but at least 80 for 2. Maybe it can soften up something if we're desperate enough to use it, but I just have this to evolve into Aegislash. And then everybody else really is just tech support in case we play against Sableye and the Mimikyu. But I got the Radiant Jirachi. If I have to open with this, it's one of the better opening Pokemon since I can't run, or no reason for me to run Radiant Greninja, or rather Radiant Pokemon. Might as well have this. Can give us 3 cards if it dies. So, Radiant Pokemon of choice. Then I've got the regular Jirachi. Protection against Sableye. Not much else to add. And then Manaphy. Bench protection from Greninja and other snipers. So if I got these 2 guys down, the Manaphy and then the Jirachi. Event legendaries. I can be protected by the Lost Box deck. I know that I won't be dying until I set up. Because that's the problem. You know, these guys dying to snipes. If your opponent picks on them with boss's orders, there's not much you can do about it. But these guys are here for protection. Now, if I see my opponent is using a deck that's not really going to do stuff like that, you don't want to bench these cards at all. The only Pokemon you want down is the Honages that are going to evolve into Aegislash, and then Mimikyu, which is also immune to EX Pokemon and V Pokemon. Basically the same thing as this guy, what the abilities do. So, if you have only these guys down, your opponent can't really do much with boss's orders. It doesn't matter how many of them they got. If they can't deal with these guys through like a Cologne, which not a lot of decks run that now, or just a regular Pokemon that can kill them, they're going to be stuck, okay? Now, at the same time, I have these cards because we need to have enough basic Pokemon to start with something so that I don't give my opponent 10 free cards. So, you know, between the 3 Mimikyus, the Jirachis, Manaphy, and then the Honages, it adds up to 10 basic Pokemon, basically, which is my usual minimum. I don't want to go below that. 10 to 11 is what I aim for. Having a little bit more than that is usually better for me if I can. But 10 to 11 is the minimum, depending on your trainer engine and how the deck is. But this should be good enough so that we don't brick all day, okay? Not brick, but just not open with basic Pokemon. Alright, trainers are kind of standard. I mean, max out the rare candy to get the stage 2s out, max out the level ball and nest ball to get the basic Pokemon down. I got 3 ultra balls to get the big guys. Really not any better method to get the big evolution Pokemon. Max out the trekking shoes for some item based draw. A little bit of speed and consistency. This deck definitely needs it. And I got 1 of the Earthen Vessel too as an energy searching card, a consistency card once again. Did something that we don't need. This and the Ultra Balls, the discarding, it's not too bad, especially when you know you don't have to bench these kinds of cards. You're going to be ditching them. So we do have things that we can easily ditch. So it's not going to be a problem. Extra nest balls, you know, when we get the level ball, when we get the Pokemon down and we don't need anything, you're going to have stuff to discard. So that's fine. And then I got the 1 tech switch, never know where this might be handy. And then instead of boss's orders, I do the counter catcher in this deck. Since we're usually going to be behind, might as well have this as opposed to boss's orders. I found myself in some games where I really just wanted to have boss's orders because we're at the same amount of prizes and I want to pull and I got this and I can't pull. And if it was a boss's orders in hand as opposed to this, I could have pulled. So there's the benefit and drawback, the risk obviously when you can't use it. But for now I got this in. I mean, I played a bunch of matches with this in, so that's how I'm going to show it to you guys. But if you really don't prefer this and you want to put boss's orders, I wouldn't blame you. Alright, I think these are all the item cards. I don't think I forgot anything. Stadium of choice is going to be the Path to the Peak. This doesn't affect us pretty much at all. It only just affects the Jirachi, and it's not going to be that big of a deal, to be honest. If I could, I would run even a third of this card, just have at least 3 stadiums, but we don't really have the space. So I do 2, it should be enough if we don't throw it down immediately. Just use it as a counter stadium. But that's the stadium of choice. I mean, you can try some other stuff like the Artisan or just some other cards if you prefer. But this is just only hurts my opponent and doesn't affect me. So that's why I like it. I'm going to miss it when this rotates out. And then for the supporter cards, we got some standard stuff. I max out the Iono. I got the 1 Shauna for some additional decent shuffle and draw 5. I got the Copycat too for the potential to become basically a Professor Oak's new theory / Cynthia, or maybe even more than that. So that's good. I got the 1 Irida to get like a rare candy and get the Manaphy, maybe get that +1. That's pretty much it. And I've got the Corina and the Oak. Corina, it's going to be okay if we have a low hand size, as opposed to something like Schoolgirl. Maybe you could use that too, but I decided to put this in instead. Sometimes it backfires, sometimes it doesn't, but I really just want something else other than this guy. To be honest, I have this guy in, but I'm really close to just not using him. I find it a lot of situations where I got a couple of rare candies in hand or something. I don't want to use this damn supporter, and it's the only supporter I got. Now, there is always that chance where you have him and then you ain't got much in hand and you'll be glad to have him, but I don't know. That's why I only have 1 copy in. But I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to take this out for like other supporters. We don't really have a lot of heavy-duty supporter cards. I mean, back in the day we used to have Chorus. I guess the closest thing to that that's going to give you maybe 10 cards and shit is this Copycat, depending on your opponent's hand. But yeah, we don't even have Marnie, even though she wasn't that great for me, but at least she gave your opponent disruption too, even if she gave you 5. But yeah, I got this guy in. I don't recommend you run more copies, otherwise you're just gonna be in situations where you have to discard your valuable shit, like your stage 2s and then your candies. It's just, yeah, I don't like it that much. In this deck at least. And then the last card I'm pretty sure is the Miriam. This is my recovery supporter card. I see a lot of people, they don't even bother using this. They just use Super Rod still. I think this is an excellent card. Like, I use it in all of my decks now in place of Super Rod. Shuffle back your Pokemon in, draw 3 cards. Can't go wrong with that. It's really cool. You can't get energies, and this is a supporter, but I mean, I really dig it. It's our way to recover our Aegislashes, so gotta have it. And then the energies is just 11 energies. It might actually be a little bit overkill. Maybe you could drop an energy and maybe 10 is a better amount. And then you can put an additional consistency card or something. But I played a bunch of matches with the deck having 11 energies in, so I'm gonna show it to you guys like that. All of these Pokemon have 1 retreat besides the Aegislash, which is the main attacker. We don't mind this being active. So if your opponent gets them stuck, you can just use an energy to retreat. I got the 1 switch in as well, but there's not really the danger of us getting stuck, honestly. So maybe you could drop an energy, but maybe we'll discard with Ultra Ball or Trekking Shoes. You never know. You can't really recover them with Miriam. So having a 1 or 2 extras doesn't hurt. But at the same time, because I've got 3 reversal energies here, you don't need that many. If you're losing, I mean, I guess maybe, then when you're not behind in prizes, you're going to have to put in the extra attachment if your opponent doesn't do much. So then the reversal energy acts as a regular energy. So 11 to 12 is a good number. If you want to do 10, it's fine. I don't think it would be that big of a problem. But I have 11, but I did notice sometimes I just don't need I got extra energies and I'm not really rolling. And I could have used a consistency card or something. Even just like a random pickaxe would have been better maybe. But anyway, and this is the deck. Aegislash, kind of boring like I've said, but it's Paradox Rift. It's technically the new cards. I've said this a billion times. I wish regular Stage 2 Pokemon were actually good and not just relied on gimmicks like this. Like, this is the only way a weak-ass Pokemon like this, a Stage 2 with 150 HP, doing 120 for 2, can do anything against the meta. It needs to have something like this, Mysterious Shield. And I don't want it to be like this. I want these cards to be conventionally good. Like if this guy had 230 HP and then a 2 for 200 attack, or just something solid to fight against the rule box Pokemon. But I guess we got gimmicks instead. Alright, this is the deck list. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a very basic, I guess simple, you know, get the Stage 2 out and then work your way to victory, hopefully, if you're lucky. It's, I don't want to say it's the most consistent deck in the world. It isn't. It's gonna brick sometimes, but if it does start flowing, then it's gonna be pretty okay. I mean, I got enough Pokemon, I've got enough energies, and then the rest is just consistency cards for the most part. So I can't think of any other better way to build it. I mean, you want to use like the barrel, maybe you can do that, but then you have something they can just pick and kill. So yeah, I think having it like this is the best that I could think of. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, share the video with your friends, and I'll see you guys on the matches. Say Bro Final 4. Was I?